What's up, everybody? It's your boy Ryan, and this is the Thunder Channel on nootropics, on energy, on testosterone, on generally being a high-performance, kick-ass male. Thanks so much for being with me. Going to talk about nootropics for negative thinking, and I want to break this down in the most practical way possible for you folks to give you both sides of it, both the neurotransmitter side and the hormonal side, because the hormonal side is actually really important. And for a guy, having adequate levels of testosterone actually regulates the neurotransmitter side in a very powerful way. So I want to talk about all of that stuff for you guys, because look, I think people look at taking nootropics for a lot of reasons, for performance enhancement at work and sales, to be more verbally fluent, to have more energy, to have more focus, etc. But I think when you're talking about neurochemical modulation, neurotransmitter modification, there are a lot of additional really cool things that you can do if you're an experimental neurohacker and you want to just sort of fuss with brain chemistry in a safe way that can change states and in really useful cases take you out of negative thinking. So I want to explain some of those nootropics and how generally you would want to look at it. So let's just jump right into it. Generally, you would want to look at heightening the neurotransmitters dopamine, acetylcholine, and GABA. You'd want to heighten them all at the same time, as well as longer term, having a consistent strategy to raise testosterone levels. Okay, that is the answer to chemically modifying and using nootropics for negative thinking. The type of thinking that is, ruminative and consistent and doesn't really even necessarily reflect reality. Like, you may be making stuff up in your head or excessively thinking negatively about something or having a slant that's so far negative that it's really not true compared to actual reality. And I want to talk about using nootropics and, enhancing your testosterone to get out of that, as an acute strategy, and then also a longer term strategy to get you out of that place. So let's talk about acetylcholine, one of the neurotransmitters you would have to raise in order to get out of negative thinking. The following nootropics will raise acetylcholine. They are alpha-GPC, CDP-choline, and choline bitartrate. Those three nootropics will raise the net quantity of acetylcholine in the brain. The following nootropics will raise dopamine, another neurotransmitter you would want to raise when you're getting out of negative thinking or to target negative thinking. Mucuna purines, which is going to give you some degree of L-dopa, which is the real raw ingredient that we would need in this particular situation to make more dopamine. L-tyrosine, which is going to make you make more dopamine as well. And or phenylalanine. Okay? All these compounds will make you make more dopamine. They have other mechanisms of action too, which we're going to talk about, but they'll make you make more dopamine. But it isn't as simple as just taking those compounds that make you build acetylcholine and then build dopamine, right? Doses on everything that you're taking matters, and if you're particularly negative in your thinking and it's constant, you're going to want to approach this as surgically as possible. So let's break down acetylcholine concentrations. Look, most people do not recognize this, and I've been saying it for years and people still argue with me. I think it's just a little bit entertaining. But a disproportionate amount of people I have found in my consulting practice on nootropics and other things require smaller doses of choline sources or choline modifying or raising nootropic compounds to reach adequate levels of brain acetylcholine. Most of the literature on cholinergics, raising acetylcholine concentrations, is done in people that are cognitively impaired and that may be 60 or older. We're really not talking about a 25 to 50-year-old male or female. We're talking about people that are older than that and have issues with neurotransmitter signaling. So I would say also, as I said, in my consulting, men over the last, now it's been 7 years since I've been consulting people on nootropics and performance physiology, I have seen that most people respond not only to lower doses of choline sources, but to CDP choline specifically. And the majority of people respond to like 50 to 100 milligrams of CDP choline. So what we're going to do in this particular stack that we're going to put together for negative thinking is just couch it as 50 milligrams CDP choline. Now look, just as a disclaimer or caveat or whatever, some people are going to respond to higher doses of CDP choline. There are many reasons for that, but most people respond to lower doses. So we have one part in this case, through this logic, of our negative thinking or negative thinking reduction nootropic stack, and that is 50 milligrams of CDP choline. So let's just keep that aside and we'll go back to that. Now, as far as dopamine goes, if you have a particularly noticeable inclination to negatively think, you'll likely respond poorly to elevated noradrenaline, which tyrosine, unfortunately, is going to give you. So the best case, just to be safe in this particular situation, is to take Mucuna. The small amount of L-DOPA, which is really it's one step away, it's a chemical that is one step away from actual dopamine in the brain, will still elevate noradrenaline, but a lot less than tyrosine, and it will end up yielding solid concentrations of just dopamine, which is useful. In this particular case, I would start out with 500 milligrams of a Mucuna supplement. Now, most Mucuna supplements are 15 to 20% L-DOPA, which is the main ingredient ultimately that you want in this particular case. And so that's about as specific as I can get, considering the concentration differentiation between supplements. So now we've got 50 milligrams of CDP choline and we have 500 milligrams of Mucuna. But now we need to modify GABA signaling in a way that seals the deal and shuts off excessive rumination and regulates the brain in a relaxed but still functional way. And frankly, the best strategy to do this for someone trying to execute reduction in negative thinking is magnesium glycinate. And I would dose it low to begin with, and then if you need to, dial in your dose moving forward to your maximum tolerable dose, because too much magnesium is going to negatively affect, well, it'll basically loosen up your bowels. Essentially what magnesium does in the intestines is it shuttles water through the intestines and makes the contents of the intestines more water-based, and will therefore shuttle them through the intestines faster, if you can put two and two together. So what I would do is start with 100 milligrams of magnesium glycinate. That's what I would do. 100 milligrams magnesium glycinate and go to town. So now we've got the building blocks in place, right? Just sort of a general template of nootropics to take. This would be the time to get surgical with synergistic additional nootropics of the stack to make it better. Because look, we're raising acetylcholine concentrations as well as dopamine concentrations, but are we doing anything to how those signals are received in the brain? The answer is no, we're not. But we should. So here's what we should do. With dopamine, we would want to optimize the density of the dopamine receptors, meaning sort of the capacity for dopamine to bind to those receptors and the capacity for the effect to be very pronounced. And we would do that with a compound called uridine monophosphate. So I will add to this negative thinking reduction stack 75 milligrams of uridine monophosphate. For acetylcholine receptors, if you absolutely wanted to optimize them, which would be a good idea when you're taking cholinergics like CDP choline, then you would add 2 milligrams of nicotine. Nicotine usually comes in lozenges. You can get it in strips, dissolvable strips. You could also get it in gum, but you'd want to be shooting for 2 milligrams or so. You could take it up to 4 milligrams. It's different for different people, but I would start at 2 milligrams. So then that's where we're going to leave it. Now the negative thinking reduction stack actually looks a lot more interesting. And it is the following: 50 milligrams CDP choline, 500 milligrams Mucuna, 100 milligrams magnesium glycinate, 75 milligrams uridine monophosphate, and 2 milligrams of nicotine. And that's where we're going to leave it. Now, this alone, or a stack like it that's mimicking the mechanisms of action pharmacologically, is going to be extremely useful in the acute period for reducing negative thinking. But the second part of this equation is, as I mentioned earlier in the video, testosterone. So with this stack, you're just temporarily modifying the state of chronic negative thinking, like acutely. Like if you're in that place at the moment, taking a stack like that would more than likely alleviate the state that you're in. Slow the brain down and put you in a place where there's less negative thinking or no negative thinking. You've reduced that. Now you feel motivated and energized and your brain is processing logically and you're realizing there's no need for this negative thinking and you can just get back to living your life. But the only surefire way to have long-term positive effects is to raise your testosterone levels over time. Raising testosterone has a large influence on neurotransmitter release, particularly in reducing the amount of monoamine oxidase A, which serves to remove neurotransmitters from the usable synaptic space over time. That's what monoamine oxidase A does. And having higher levels of testosterone actually reduces the quantity of monoamine oxidase A, thereby leaving neurotransmitters in the usable space in your brain for longer. So in general, you'll have heightened levels of neurotransmitters, and particularly the ones we need heightened just by raising your testosterone levels. So strategies for raising test. Now look, this is going to depend on your position, so I'm not going to give you like a protocol on raising testosterone. But one thing you can try, or a couple things you could try, would be to use a peptide called kisspeptin. Kisspeptin is going to force the hypothalamus to release more gonadotropin-releasing hormone, which is really the building blocks of LH and FSH, which then signal from the pituitary, the anterior pituitary, to the testicles, bind intratesticularly to receptor sites, and tell you to make sperm and tell you to make testosterone. That's one strategy that you could execute. For some people, it's going to be really effective, kisspeptin. For other people, it's not going to be as effective as it needs to be. It sort of seems to run the gamut. And there's a lot of other variables that influence how effective that peptide is. Some people are going to require optimization of the gonadotropin-releasing hormone system with kisspeptin and maybe a SERM, right? An estrogen, a selective estrogen receptor modulator, keyword in the hypothalamus without giving you names. At the same time, coupling those two together. In addition to that, some people may have to run the strategy of kisspeptin and a SERM, as well as optimizing Leydig cell function. These are the cells that actually make the testosterone in the testicles. And you could use a compound called Cystanch to do that. In fact, that's one of its major actions, is to work on the Leydig cells to help you to make more testosterone. Some people are going to require complex 15 to 20 compound protocols to raise testosterone, as can be found in the testosterone superclass. If you're a guy that is trying to raise testosterone, the testosterone superclass is as complete as it gets, because it both gives you strategies for natural testosterone production, it gives you gonadotropin hacking strategies, and it also will guide you on when to go further down the, I wouldn't say the pharmaceutical route, but more the aggressive route of using advanced level hormonal biohacking strategies to foster the function of your own endogenous testosterone production via agonizing LH and FSH receptors in the testicles, as well as regulating neurosteroid function in the brain. In the testosterone superclass, we go on whether or not you should go on TRT, how to determine that, androgen receptor hacking protocols, all kinds of things. So if you're looking to raise your testosterone, get the testosterone superclass, about an hour and 15 minutes of yours truly in an educational type, whiteboard type digital format, explaining you protocols to raise testosterone. Get that course at livecortex.com. And lastly, look, some men based on their age are going to require full-blown synthetic testosterone injections, like ongoingly, to achieve stable, persistent, consistent levels of serum testosterone. But look, once all of that is straight, you have your high testosterone contributing to longer acting neurotransmission and less clearance, which is going to heighten your mood and reduce negative thinking. And then you've got your stack of 50 milligrams of CDP, 500 of mucuna, 100 milligrams of magnesium glycinate, 75 milligrams of uridine monophosphate, and 2 milligrams of nicotine, further contributing to the brain state that's necessary to tone down negative thinking. You're welcome. Now look, I just gave you one strategy for this. And frankly, a person could put together with the right knowledge of nootropics and general biohacking, one could put together 50 strategies to do this, to reduce negative thinking and put the brain in more of a relaxed, logical, calm place where it doesn't have to resort or revert to negative thinking, based on all of the compounds that we have as neurohackers and nootropics enthusiasts and performance enthusiasts at our fingertips. And if you need access to loads of high-level nootropic stacks for this specific reason and many other reasons, your best bet is to pick the Nootropics course at livecortex.com that is based on your level of understanding and specifically time frame of usage in nootropics. So if you're brand new to nootropics, meaning you just started, Ground Zero, Nootropics Ground Zero, would be the course that you should get, because that aligns with your expertise in nootropics. You're brand new, right? That's what that course is for, another video course. The mid-level, say you're in 6 months to a year to 3 years. If you're at that level of usage of nootropics, the best course for you to get would be the Nootropics Masterclass. Nootropics Masterclass. Now, if you're past the 6-year mark and you've been using nootropics for 6 years or 7 years or even 10 years, the best nootropics course for you to get to develop more stacks to target a reduction in negative thinking would be the Nootropics God course. But if I were to suggest one primary nootropics course that has a particular focus on stacks and stacks for certain brain states, it would be the Nootropics Masterclass, okay? So if you're really interested in getting your hands on a host of nootropic stacks that will target states like this and many other states, brain states, to change them positively, just get Nootropics Masterclass, watch the video course, and use the stacks that I have created in that course. And lastly, if you do not want to go at this alone, you could hire me to put together regimens that help you not only to silence negative thinking, but optimize testosterone, engage in full-blown nootropic stack design, optimize your energy, and whatever other physiology that we've got to target. And what you should do is check out the consultation options at livecortex.com on the consulting tab on the menu, and book. You should book a call with me, book an ongoing consultation with me, whatever it is that you think may fit your particular situation. The average turnaround time is 24 to 48 hours, and we are literally on the phone within that time. Right away, we can start solving your issue. Hope that makes sense. Thank you so much for being with me. It has been a pleasure doing this video for you. I love that you are here. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the bell to get notified of everything we put out, because I put out at least 2 new videos a week, sometimes more, and we're pumping out live streams where we're doing Q&A on nootropics and biohacking and testosterone and physiology like twice a week these days. So get on it and subscribe. I wanted to say a quick update on both the Cortex Nootropic stack, our stack, as well as Torque, for those of you interested. Number one, we just changed the label of the Cortex Nootropic stack. This is really something that's been a long time coming. I've got some criticism about the label, it's a little outdated, etc. I just always realized the stack wasn't a very effective stack, so just kind of left it alone. But you people are actually right. So we did an updated design, a more modern design on the label. We did away with the generations of Cortex, as we were going to have it Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3 as it got better. But Generation 1 was so good, and people that took the Cortex stack were like, dude, you cannot change this. You cannot touch this nootropic stack. It is so powerful the way that it is. I was kind of scared to change it. So we just have done away with that and put all that effort into Torque. So Torque is launching probably July, I would say August at the very latest. It is at the lab in New York being produced right now, and it is a nootropic stack that's potency will be unmatched compared to other nootropics. It is put together by yours truly, so going on 16 years nootropics expert. I put it together to do a lot of really interesting things neurologically, neurochemically, and in terms of brain performance, and it is going to be sick. It will be a get you into gear, turn up the torque, activate the engine type of nootropic stack. So look forward to Torque launching somewhat soon, and you guys know I will keep you posted. If you go to livecortex.com, you'll be offered a free digital book that teaches you how to use nootropics. It's a guide. Put your email address in there, because then I will notify you when Torque is ready to launch, and you'll also get emails on discount codes on all of our nootropics and male performance products that we do not give on this channel. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. It has been an absolute pleasure being with you. More content to come this week, live streams, content, more documentary-esque stuff coming in the works. I know you guys are enjoying those, and I frankly am enjoying them too. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you. I will talk to you soon.